Hey, what's up? We're on Red Alert 3, and this is Sybert, and who am I with?
You're with SighNapse, recording this game for the billionth time.
Yes, we have been attempting to dualcast this game, and it hasn't been working out properly because of the timing. So, the beginning of this game we know pretty well, but this is Eminence as the Green Empire on the right side of Infinity Isle, and who's on the left side?
We have Isaro playing as, Isaro is the Smurf for Maniek, who's blue allied.
So we have Maniek and Eminence is also smurfing, and both players are going pretty standard builds. Eminence
An
is
attack
smurfing
dog running
as
into the middle.
PYT.
Is that attack dog going to be able to lock down that oil derrick? It
I
doesn't
don't
look
know.
like it. In time, nope, he's turning away.
No, the dog does have to turn away because of that Imperial Warrior.
But the allies already have their oil derrick, so they're going to get the income advantage before the Empire do.
Yeah, and every second that they have that oil derrick, it just adds a little bit more of an income advantage, even if it's only 15 credits at a time.
We're seeing a mecha bay from the Japanese being built up right now.
Yeah, the Mecha Bay core going down, and
MCV is on the move.
most likely going to be heading for that Island Expo based on the angle.
You have a bit. Oh, it looks like we're going to have a bit of action in the middle. Peacekeepers versus Imperial Warriors.
Peacekeepers
And
are pushing forward. Looks like Peacekeepers outnumber, well, maybe not.
I'm seeing an airfield. An allied airfield has just been built.
Outnumber the Imperial Warriors, and we do have an airfield out of
Don't have any dojos. There are no dojos left in the game. He is building an oil refinery, though. Not quite what I'd go for first, but, you know.
So he's got the refinery out. Maniek is really pushing with these infantry.
Yep, and are we going to see Vindicators? I think so. Yes, we are. It's circling around, and it's going in for the kill. Doesn't quite kill it.
And we do have the Vindicator circling around. Going in for the kill.
Yep, timing differences. Do tell me when it's been blown up.
Yes, and we do have a dog on the top side ready for Maniek, and the oil derrick goes down. Maniek has the dog on the top side ready to do any sort of scouting, but Eminence doesn't have any scouts. And there are, no barracks left, which also, Maniek doesn't have a war factory either. He's just got a single airfield, and he is now, I'm assuming he's moved his MCV up to expand.
It looks that way.
We'll have to see.
And of course, that garrison structure could provide a bit of a problem for the Empire expansion.
Yeah, especially now that Maniek has taken it over. We also do have a lone peacekeeper
Just stood
trying
there,
to sneak
chilling.
into the Empire base, but looks like Striker VXs versus Apollo, and Striker VX reverse moving through the air. So I'll let some of you physics students worry about that.
It's the Japanese. They don't make sense. Just leave it at that.
Yeah. So the Empire Ore Collector switching to the secondary ability to take out those Peacekeepers, able to clear that up quite easily.
Yep, and now it's going to resume collecting.
I should hope so.
There's that one Peacekeeper. Are they going to actually try and kill it? Or is it just going to... I don't think they're going to kill it. Unless that tsunami can run it over.
Yeah, at this point, considering there's no Tengus, and there's, well, now one Tengu, as I say.
Oh, just the one. But we are seeing some air movement to the south. 2 Vindicators moving around the side of the map with Apollo escorts.
Yeah, Apollo escorts, and Maniek has expanded to the middle, meaning he is once again ahead, as he does control that oil derrick, even though...
He's going into the... No, he's avoided.
Even though Eminence has had his oil refinery longer. So both players are probably about even, neither of them have taken significant losses.
The Empire are expanding to their natural expansion in the sea, but there is an attack dog just swimming there, just in case.
Yeah, Eminence moving his MCV out to expand, and also...
Tengus? Really? That's overkill. Not that they exist in Sea at Sea.
The Tengus are, you do need 3 Tengus to take down an attack dog.
They're a bit distracted though, since there's an air attack coming in from the... it didn't kill the Collector.
Not going to be able to kill that Collector, but get it pretty close.
Building another Collector isn't what you want to be doing. I mean, you have to do it if you lose it, but you don't want to do it.
Yeah, especially since it is for the 1,400 credits, as it is for the other races, or factions, I should say.
This isn't StarCraft.
Oh, come
And
on.
those Tengus are going down.
Those Tengus being met by Apollos, and Apollos, of course, far better air superiority than
Vindicator's going to pick off anyone. Anyone that goes into Mecha mode, they can just pick them off, as has just happened a while ago.
Yeah, the Tsunami tank not going to be getting taken out, but it's also in that secondary ability, so
And it's
now being able to actually fire on that wall.
Yeah.
Maniac going to be able to clean that up quite easily. Eminence continuing to make some Tengus. He is low on power, had to build a power plant, which isn't that significant since he's not being attacked.
Maniac is pulling out some cryocopters, going really heavy on the Air Force. Not that the Empire has a good naval counter for it, or infantry counter, or any counter.
Lots of Striker VXs.
This is true, but you have to be really good at micro.
Which
And
Eminence
kind of is.
Yeah, word on the street is he's actually kind of good at this game.
Oh, really?
Yeah, kind of weird.
Yeah, and what is those cryocopters are targeting the... Can they take that on that harvester? They can. Is he going to lose a cryocopter?
To the Defender VX, which is just now finishing.
Which is a silent cue for me to pause the game until we catch up.
Yeah, this is not working as well as we had hoped.
Hey, it's still working.
5 Mecha Tengus not able to take anything out, and also the cryocopter does escape. So
And it's now going to repair.
Maniac is in a decent position as he was able to kind of even the score up on the economy. Eminence is, ahead in refineries, but not in collectors.
Eminence still has that red collector on the natural land expansion. It's defended by 3 choppers, which have only defended Striker VXs, but they could probably still do a good hit and run without cryocopters.
Yeah, I think a single Vindicator
Just a
might
single
be able
one,
to take
yeah.
that out.
It's kind of odd he hasn't bothered.
Although
we have a mass Tengu movement going around, taking out Vindicators.
Gonna be able to focus fire down those Vindicators. The weekend ore collector is, in fact, slower. So the Eminence is actually falling ever so slightly behind, although not if he's got an entire expansion up on his opponent.
And we are seeing yet more Tengus, and Maniac is building javelins to counter them in their air mode, which they're mostly going to be in.
Yeah, those javelins coming out of Maniac, which is actually a really good choice considering the composition of Eminence forces.
That is just some sweet cryocopter work there. Shrunk down 3 strikers, but they've just completely ripped through those Vindicators with the Tengus.
Yeah, the Tengus are out in such high numbers that
they actually
the Apollos don't even... Well, actually, with this many Apollos and with the surprise, who's going to win the Apollo Tengu air superiority?
We are seeing a dojo.
It looks like the overwhelming Tengu numbers were able to come out ahead.
And they are killing these javelins that have just landed on mine. I don't know where they are on yours. They're probably just around the same. And cryocopters looming overhead. Strikers doing them.
Getting repaired. Just now dropping down that dojo for those counter infantry. Infantry, of course, very cheap, as Eminence is probably a little bit running out of money. Tengu should be able to clean up this batch of infantry fairly well, although cryocopters not in a great position. Not even going to be able to freeze anything down as of yet, as all the infantry go down.
He's building some tank busters from this dojo.
No, he's not.
He will be in a few moments. Just tell me when he has. Thank you.
And one is about to come out, so this tank buster is going to be an excellent counter to basically nothing, because Maniac has been putting out a lot of infantry and a lot of air, and he's actually sold off his barracks. But those tank busters are going to be pretty good against buildings, whereas Tengu's not as good.
Problem, getting to the buildings.
We do have a little bit of an airstrike force. Rebuilt all of those Apollos. Once
And
again
more.
shrinks down these Striker VXs. And the Apollo versus Tengu air superiority battle is commencing once again. Looks like the Tengus are going to be coming out ahead as both
Ever
sides...
so slightly, we've got, oh, maybe not ever so slightly, we've got 4 Tengus that have made it out of there, 5 even. And that collector is still alive. Only just making it out of there.
Now there are 2 collectors down there. But
Yeah,
only 1
they're,
Striker VX. So that is, you know, 2 Striker VXs went down, a number of... maybe only 1 Striker VX went down. A number of Tengus, but those Tengus were matched by the more expensive Apollos.
Will Maniac use this armor facility? Well, it's at tier 2, because his Conyard's at tier 2. What are we going to see?
Does look like he's building something. Maniac is.
He's stopped building something because he might be out of money.
He is out of money, and it is a Riptide. And it's also important to note that he is basically locked down in electricity. And these cryocopters have also locked down this Tengu attack force.
Yeah.
With an Apollo. But if Eminence is able to take down a power plant, that would hinder... Actually, there's only 2 power plants for Maniac. That would hinder his production.
It's also noting that both of those aren't defended, and at this point, Maniac is behind on the resources. He may have an oil derrick, but he doesn't have an expansion.
Yeah,
the water expansion
for so much longer that I think any early game advantage that Maniac may have had, he's probably lost at this point in terms of just economy.
Yeah, the Empire can afford to build Tengus and Tank Busters at this point.
Yeah, and that Tank Buster swarm is starting to get pretty scary, especially when Maniac doesn't really have anything to counter it with. He's got Apollos and he's got cryocopters.
I'm going to say Vindicators can only pick off a few at a time, and you've got to micro those quite heavily. And I've just seen a cryo shot go down. I think it's a cryo shot. No, it's not. It's bigger. Cryo something.
We have a shrunken down Riptide APC on the top side, possibly full of engineers, possibly full of... looks like he's going for the cryo shot, possibly full of javelin soldiers to kind of one-shot that refinery. No, it's not full of anything. Looks like he's just going to try and one-shot the refinery. Was able to one-shot it, able to one-shot a harvester, a refinery, and a Striker VX. And the
totally
Riptide does go down.
That is going to be a pain. But he can still recover quite easily. He's got the cash, and he's got a close-by Conyard.
So basically, all Maniac did was even up the number of expansions, the number of ore nodes that both players
for a few months
controls.
Assuming that we are seeing a refinery core being built, but those things are expensive. And we've got point defense drones coming out, and we're seeing a full frontal attack.
A full frontal attack out of Eminence, and he also used that defense drone upgrade. Was able to add additional life to most of his Tengus and Striker VXs, which looks like all of his air or anti-air is in just those few Striker VXs.
Oh, the Conyard's moving in. Gonna do a suicide, gonna try and squish some dudes. Not really gonna work. Is it? Is it? Sort of.
Very effective. Looks like he's dropping down a second base defense and then shrinks or folds up his MCV. I've seen MCVs if your opponent isn't paying attention, those MCVs can be used very effectively in running over units, but it looks like Eminence is just paying too much attention. He's going to be able to micro away from that slow MCV fairly well.
Tengu's going down though, quite heavily at the moment, on my screen at least.
He was losing a couple of infantry, Eminence was, and now it looks like Maniac going to be losing all of his Apollos to the superior Tengu numbers, but only barely. The Tengus just barely came out ahead there with Eminence winning the game.
Yep.
So Maniac is defeated. GG's out of that game. And that was actually pretty close. I would say Maniac had the advantage in the early game, but then Eminence able to expand and constantly counter Maniac.
That is the problem with the allies, though. They can't really expand all that easily in the later game. So you've got to move that MCV around, and if you got production structures tied to an MCV, you're not going to want to move that Conyard around too often.
Yeah, and it is 700 resources spent if you want to build a ore collector.
And those things take time to deploy.
Yes,
lot
they
of time.
do take quite a bit of time to deploy. So as you can see on the resource graph, Eminence, they were actually pretty close, and then, you know, at the 5-minute mark, Eminence just started to pull ahead, and Maniac couldn't match that. So one of the advantages of being Empire, and also we saw not a whole lot of unit variation out of Eminence. Just mostly Mecha Tengu spam and some Striker VXs and then Tank Busters at the end. So unfortunately, not a whole lot of well-balanced strike forces, so to speak, although technically it was.
Although technically it's CNC, and well, unit spam usually wins.
Well, yeah. But, you know, we don't want to be pushing that too much.
Well, you never know.
So, good game out of both players. We do have 2 more games to cast. I don't know if we'll be dual casting them because of the timing issues. It's not quite working out, but this one was dual cast. So, anything left to say, Sai?
Nope, not at all. It's all yours.
Alright, this is Sybert, signing out.